Hello, my dear listeners, and welcome to another episode of Best English Podcast. My name is Sara, and I'm so happy to have you here today. If this is your first time joining us, I want you to know you are not just listening to words. You are taking an important step toward building a better future for yourself. Learning English can sometimes feel heavy, like carrying a bag of books up a hill. But here's the truth. You don't need to climb the hill in one day. You only need to take one step at a time. And listening, my friends, is one of those small, daily steps that can completely change your fluency. Speaking English can also feel like driving a car on a busy road. You start moving, but then you stop. You wait. You don't know when to go again. And that stop, that pause, makes everything feel harder. But here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect to keep moving. You just need to keep the car rolling, slowly but smoothly, even if you don't know the fastest way. Fluency is not about speed, it's about flow. Think about music. When you hear a song, the singer doesn't stop after every word to check if it's perfect. They let the rhythm carry them forward. Even if one note is not exact, the flow continues, and that's what makes the song beautiful. Speaking English works the same way. What matters most is not perfection, but rhythm, connection, and movement. Today, I'm going to share with you simple but powerful strategies to help you speak more fluently, without those heavy pauses that make you lose confidence. And don't worry, we'll keep it clear, motivating, and practical, so you can follow along easily, even if you're at a B1 or B2 level. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's go on this journey together. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with a friend who is also learning English. Stay with me until the end. You'll walk away not only with tips, but with real motivation to use them. You're listening to Best English Podcast, your daily step toward better English. Have you ever opened your mouth to speak English, and suddenly everything inside your head goes completely blank? You know the word is there, somewhere, but instead of speaking, you stop. You pause. You wait. This happens to so many learners, and it's not because you're bad at English. It's because your brain is working like a computer with too many tabs open. Think of it this way. Imagine you're trying to cook 3 dishes at the same time. You've got pasta boiling, vegetables frying, and bread in the oven. Suddenly, you forget which one to check first. You freeze. That pause is not because you don't know how to cook. It's because your brain is juggling too much at once. The same thing happens with English. When you speak, your brain tries to remember vocabulary, think of grammar rules, pronounce the sounds correctly, and at the same time, follow the rhythm of the conversation. No wonder you pause. That's a lot happening inside your mind. But here's something important. Pausing is not the enemy. Pausing is actually your brain asking for time to process. The real problem is when pauses become too long, when they break your flow and make you lose confidence. One of my students, Maria, once told me, "Sara, I feel like I know the words, but when I try to speak, it's like my mouth refuses to move." I explained to her, it's not her mouth, it's her brain, trying to translate, remember, and perform all at once. So the first step is awareness. When you pause too much, it usually means you are thinking in your first language, focusing too much on grammar, trying to be perfect. And here's the good news. Once you know why it happens, you can start to change it. Because fluency doesn't come from stopping and fixing every word. It comes from letting your ideas move forward, even if they are not perfect. And once you understand this, the next big question appears. If pausing is caused by overthinking, How do we train our brain to keep going, to keep the flow alive, even when we're not sure of every word? Now that we understand why pausing happens, let's talk about how to keep your words moving, even when your brain wants to stop. The first secret is simple. Think in English, not your own language. When you translate in your head, it slows everything down. Your brain has to take each word, convert it, and then figure out how to say it. That's like trying to drive a car while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. So how do we train our brain to stay in English? Start small. Look around your room and describe things in English. This is my cup. It is blue. I am drinking tea. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about perfect words. Just keep your brain moving in English. Another method is to practice speaking aloud about your day, even if no one is listening. Tell yourself, "Today I woke up. I made breakfast. I walked outside." It feels simple, but it's very powerful. It teaches your brain that English words flow even when you're not sure what comes next. I remember a student, Leo. At first, he could only speak 2 or 3 words before freezing. But after practicing 2 minutes of speaking aloud every day, he started stringing short sentences together. After a few weeks, he told me, "Sara, I feel like my words finally want to come out. They don't get stuck anymore." And here's a tip that makes a huge difference. Don't wait for the perfect word. If you don't know a word, use a simple one or describe it. For example, instead of pausing to think of enormous, just say very big. Your sentence keeps flowing, your brain keeps moving, and your confidence grows. Speaking English fluently without pausing is not about knowing everything. It's about letting your ideas flow, trusting yourself, and training your brain to keep going, even if every word isn't perfect. And once your brain learns to move forward, the next step is adding rhythm and natural flow, making your English sound smooth and confident, just like a song. So, now your brain is starting to move your words forward. You're speaking in English without stopping all the time. That's amazing. But here's the next challenge. How do you make your speech sound smooth and natural, not choppy? The answer is rhythm. Just like music, English has a flow. Native speakers don't speak one word at a time. They stress important words, connect ideas, and pause naturally. This rhythm helps people understand you more easily. Let me give you an example. Compare these 2 sentences. I went to the store yesterday. I went to the store yesterday. Which one sounds better? Of course, the second one. The first one feels broken, and it's exactly how your pauses sound if you stop too much. Here's a simple exercise. Read a short story or text aloud, but imagine you're reading it like a song. Focus on the stress of important words and the small pauses between ideas. Don't rush. Let your words flow naturally. Another trick is linking words together. Native speakers often connect words. I'm gonna go, instead of I am going to go. What do you want to do? Flows as, what do you want to do? You don't have to use slang, but practicing connected words helps your speech sound smoother. One of my students, Anna, used to speak very slowly with many pauses. She started practicing rhythm exercises every day, reading short paragraphs aloud, paying attention to stress and small pauses. After just 2 weeks, she said, "Sara, my English finally feels alive. I don't stop every second. I feel like I'm singing my sentences." That's the key. Rhythm and flow make your English sound confident, even if you don't know every word. And when your English flows, people enjoy listening, and you feel less nervous. And once your rhythm improves, the next step is learning fillers and connectors, little tools that keep your conversation moving while your brain thinks. Now that your speech has rhythm and flow, Here's another secret to speaking English fluently without pausing: fillers and connectors. Wait, don't roll your eyes. Fillers are not mistakes. They are tools. Words and short phrases like, well, you know, actually, or I mean, give your brain a tiny moment to think without stopping the flow of your speech. Imagine this. You're talking about your favorite movie. Without fillers, it might sound like this. I watched a movie. It was good. The actors were nice. The story was fun. Sounds robotic, right? Now, with fillers and connectors. Well, I watched a movie yesterday, and actually, it was really good. The actors were amazing, and the story, was so much fun. See the difference? It sounds natural, smooth, and confident. Connectors are equally important. Words like because, so, then, but, also, help you link ideas and keep your sentences moving forward. Instead of stopping to think of what to say next, your brain follows the connector. I remember a student, Kareem, who used to pause every 3 seconds in conversations. I taught him to use simple fillers and connectors. Just a few words like well or so made a huge difference. After a month, he told me, "Sara, it feels like my English has rhythm. I don't stop and freeze anymore. I feel free when I speak." The key is to practice using these words naturally. You don't need fancy phrases. Small, simple words keep your speech flowing and your brain thinking ahead. And once you're comfortable with fillers and connectors, the next step is shadowing, a technique that will improve both speed and confidence while keeping your English smooth and natural. Now that you know how to use rhythm, fillers, and connectors, it's time to take your fluency to the next level with a technique called shadowing. Shadowing is simple but powerful. You listen to a short audio, a podcast, or even a YouTube clip, and you repeat immediately after the speaker, trying to match their speed, stress, and rhythm. You're not just repeating words, you're training your brain and mouth to move together naturally. Think about it like echoing. When you hear the sound, you follow it. At first, it might feel strange. Your mouth might lag behind your brain. But with practice, the gap disappears and your words start flowing smoothly. Here's how to start. Pick a short clip, 30 seconds to 1 minute. Listen once without speaking, just focus on understanding. Listen again and repeat sentence by sentence, trying to copy the rhythm. Listen a third time and shadow the whole clip continuously, even if you make mistakes. One of my students, Lena, used to pause constantly in conversations. I introduced her to shadowing. The first time she could barely keep up, but after 2 weeks of just 5 minutes a day, she said, "Sara, it feels like my English is moving faster than my thoughts. I don't stop anymore, I just go." Shadowing trains your brain, mouth, and ears together. It builds confidence, reduces pauses, and makes your English sound more natural. And once you master shadowing, the next big step is seeing real progress in actual conversations, where your skills are tested in real time. So, you've practiced rhythm, fillers, connectors, and shadowing. Your English is flowing more smoothly. But now comes the real test: actual conversations. Speaking in real life is different from practicing alone. People talk fast, use slang, change topics, and sometimes interrupt. And yes, that can make anyone pause or freeze. But the good news is, you can train for it. Here's one of my favorite strategies. Summarize while listening. In a conversation, try to understand the main idea first, then respond with a simple sentence. You don't need perfect grammar, you just need to keep the conversation moving. Let me share the story of one of my students, Amir. When Amir started, he would freeze after every sentence in English. Conversations felt impossible. But we practiced short daily dialogues and shadowing exercises. Slowly, he started responding quickly, using simple words and fillers. One day he told me, Sarah, I spoke with a shopkeeper for 5 minutes without stopping, and I didn't feel nervous at all. This is the moment where all your practice comes together. Rhythm, fillers, connectors, shadowing, they all help you keep your words moving naturally, even under pressure. The key is to practice small conversations every day, even if it's just 2 to 3 minutes. Talk about your day, describe your surroundings, or ask simple questions. Every little interaction trains your brain to respond faster and reduces long pauses. And once you feel comfortable in short conversations, your confidence will grow for longer discussions, meetings, or even storytelling. Fluency isn't magic, it's the result of consistent, focused practice. And speaking of fluency, the last step is the most important. Motivation and daily habits that keep you improving every single day. That's what we'll cover in the final part. Here we are. You've learned so many strategies. Understanding why we pause, training your brain to keep talking, using rhythm, fillers, connectors, shadowing, and practicing real conversations. All of these pieces work together to help you speak English fluently without pausing. But here's the most important thing to remember. Fluency doesn't come from perfection. It comes from consistency. Even 10 minutes a day is better than none. Every short practice builds confidence, strengthens your brain, and trains your mouth to keep moving naturally. Imagine your English as a river. At first, the water moves slowly with small stops and bumps. But every day you practice, and the river flows smoother and faster. Eventually, it moves freely, naturally, and your words do too. I want to leave you with a quick story. One of my students, Sara, yes, funny coincidence, used to pause constantly during class. She felt frustrated and nervous. She started practicing just 5 minutes of daily shadowing, used fillers when needed, and spoke to friends in short conversations. After a few weeks, she told me, "Sara, I don't even think about pausing anymore. I just speak, and it flows. I feel like a real English speaker." That's the power of daily practice, rhythm, and confidence. Pauses don't disappear overnight, but they shrink. Your words start moving naturally, your conversations feel alive, and your fluency grows step by step. So, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment telling me which tip helped you the most. Share this with a friend who wants to speak English more confidently. Your support helps me create more podcasts to help you improve every day. Remember, fluency is not a dream, it's your future. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep moving forward. Your words are waiting to flow. You're listening to Best English Podcast, your daily step towards smoother, more natural English.